Good day everyone, I am Andre Marie M. Amparo from BS Ed English Block B. I am discussing the semiotic and French structuralism. Semiotic, also called semiology. It is the study of signs and sign-using behavior. Ferdinand de Saussure is one of the founders of semiotics. He was a Swiss linguist who's responsible for creating the sign, signifier, and signified concept. Saussure defines semiotic as the study of the life of signs within society. Charles Sanders Peirce is a second founder of semiotics. He defined a signs as something which stands to somebody for something. He is an American philosopher who's responsible for creating the "we only think in science" concept, where anything is considered as a sign as long as someone interprets it as having meaning other than itself. Semiotic, by definition, is the study of signs and symbols and their use or interpretations. Semiotic deals with concrete examples such as physical science and more abstract concepts such as denotation and connotation. We'll begin the lesson with sign. Signs are broken down into two parts, the signifiers and the signified. Signifiers are the physical form of a sign such as a sound, words, or image that created a communication. For example, at this image, the signifier is the sign of the spoken word or the string of letters. In this case, we read this as Facebook. Signified is the concept that signifiers refers to. For example, what concepts comes to your mind when you see this image? For some, it may be a social media, but others may think of friends, family, or entertainment. Signifiers can be categorized in three different types of sign: the icons, symbols, and index. Icons has physical resemblance to signified or what it stands for. For example, when we see this photo, what comes to your mind? A mustache, right? Well, what if I show you this picture? Are you still able to recognize the mustache? Yes, because even though it's look different from the first one, its physical resemblance let us know it is still a mustache. Symbol is the opposite of an icon, so it does not resemble the signifiers that being represented. Symbols are learned culturally, which explains why culture has developed different and unique traits. We can learn what symbol means over time. A common example of symbol is a male and female icon representing the presence of toilets facilities. Now, let's imagine that we never seen humans before, and we're being told that this is what a woman and man looks like. We probably didn't infer them that this woman and man were in fact the same species. Lastly, we have indexes. An index describes the physical connection between a signifier and the signified. This means that signifier cannot exist without a physical presence of signified. The example of this concept is smoke. Smoke cannot exist without a fire. Within this example, the signifier is the smoke, which leads to the signified being fire. If we saw a big cloud of black smoke in distance, the concept that typically comes to our mind is that is coming from a fire. Now, let's understand the basic of science. Let's talk about the denotation and connotation. Denotation refers to the literal or explicit meaning of a words. It means that denotation is the literal meaning of the words in dictionary terms. For example, Forever 21. In dictionary term, it is an American chain of fast fashion retailers with its headquarters in Los Angeles. Connotation represent the various social overtones, cultural implication, or emotional meaning associated with sign. Example, for some, Forever 21 may be a cute, fashionable clothes, but to others, it may mean inexpensive and cheaply made clothes. Let's move on to French structuralism. French structuralism comes from Levi-Strauss inverting the basic ideas of Durkheim and other French circle, including Ferdinand de Saussure and others. French structuralism produced a broad intellectual movement. Instead of Russian formalist distinction between story and plot, French structuralists use the term histoire and discourse. Text is the message, which can be understood only by references to the code, Barth's code. Code is culturally determined patterns of inverting and meaning that order our interpretation and perceptions. The idea of codes comes from Roman Jakobson's famous communication model. His model is simply that a sender directs a message to a receiver through a contact like voice, telephone, printed page, facial expression, and within the context, physical and psychological environment. All of this is framed within certain codes or culturally shared patterns of meanings. Codes tell us how to make sense of a text, and they help us to relate text to other aspects of our experience. Codes and decoding. For Barthes, the code enables one to identify elements and class them together under particular functions. Barthes distinguishes 5 codes which are applied in the reading of a text, each of which is a perspective of citation or general semantic model which enables one to pick out items as belonging to the functional space which the codes designates. As for Levi-Strauss, codes are determined by their homogeneity. They group together items of single kind and by their explanatory function. The number of codes can therefore vary according to the perspective chosen and the nature of the text one is analyzing. Barth suggested that the meaning of the text was described using the 5 codes. Barth's 5 literary codes in fictions. The first one is proeretic code. It is also called as code of actions. It asks the readers to find meaning in the sequence of events. By using this code, we can consider every action in this story from the opening of the door to a group of musicians. An action starts at a point and ends at another. In a story, they collide and overlap, but in the classic text, they are all resolved in the conclusions. Second is hermeneutic codes. It is also called code of puzzles. It raises the question to be answered. Like the codes of action, this is an aspect of narrative syntax. Whenever such question like, who is that? What does it mean? We have a part of the hermeneutic codes, which the story is finally answered. The third one is cultural codes. It refers to all the system of knowledge and values invoked by text. Under this area, Barthes grouped the entire body of knowledge and values that a work invokes. These are presented as the pearls of proverbial wisdom, scientific truth, and different understanding or stereotypes that make up human reality. The fourth is connotative codes. It expresses theme developed around the characters. These are the topics of fictional works. They form a character which is just the same name combined with the same traits, as they group themselves around a certain proper name. And the last is symbolic codes. It refers to the theme as we have generally considered it, which is the meaning of the work. This is the field of theme as we typically understand it in Anglo-American criticism, the idea or the ideas around which a work is formed. That's all. Thank you.